What happens when a cheeky bully punches a quiet, single father in the face in a crowded coffee shop, unaware that the man standing in front of him is a special forces legend? You won't believe how his calm reaction changes the situation in the most unexpected way, leaving the entire room in shock. Something no one expected to see happen one Saturday morning in the cozy Sunshine Rose Café in the quiet town of Riverside, Texas. A middle-aged man with tired eyes and bruised hands was sitting across from his 8-year-old daughter when a young thug walked up to him and punched him in the face, drawing blood from his cracked lip. The room froze. Everyone expected a fight to break out, but the father simply wiped the blood away with a tissue and looked at his attacker with a look that sent shivers down everyone's spine. No one knew then that this quiet carpenter had once been a legend in the Delta Force Special Forces, a man known in close circles as the Ghost, a man whose hands had seen so much blood that he now vowed to use them only to make furniture and braid his daughter's hair. Before we begin our story, please tell us in the comments where you are watching us from. So, let's get to know the main characters of this incredible story better. Nathan Wilson, 46 years old, 5 feet 7 inches tall, with the sturdy build of a man who had spent his whole life doing hard physical labor. Short, dark hair, streaked with gray, not from age, but from pain. Gray eyes that could be incredibly warm when he looked at his daughter, and icy when he remembered the past. Scars on his hands, which he attributed to accidents in the workshop, although some had appeared in the sands of Iraq and the mountains of Afghanistan. His face was weathered, with deep lines around his eyes, the signs of sleepless nights since his wife's death. Nathan always dressed simply: flannel shirts, faded jeans, work boots. Nothing fancy, nothing to draw attention to. He was deliberately trying to remain inconspicuous, to blend into this small town, to be an ordinary single father. He spent 15 years in one of the most secretive units of the U.S. Army. His specialty was delicately called neutralizing high-risk targets. In simple terms, this meant that Nathan was someone sent to places of no return. He worked in complete silence, without witnesses, without documents. Ghost. This is the nickname he earned after an operation in Fallujah, when he infiltrated a terrorist base, eliminated 8 guards, and took a wounded hostage with him without raising the alarm. In the morning, the enemy found only corpses and an empty cell. It was as if a ghost had passed through their fortress. But everything changed when he met Jennifer. She was a nurse at a military base, and Nathan fell in love with her at first sight. Jennifer was the exact opposite of his dark world. Bright, kind, and trusting of people. She did not see him as a killing machine, but as a person who needed love and understanding. They got married after 6 months of dating, and a year later, Emma was born. Holding his newborn daughter in his arms, Nathan realized that he could not return to the shadows. He submitted his resignation, but the command convinced him to stay for one more mission. Just one. The last. He agreed, and he regretted it for the rest of his life. The mission lasted 4 months. When Nathan returned home, Emma was 14 months old. Jennifer greeted him with a smile, with plans for the future, dreaming of a quiet life. They bought a small house in Riverside, a town in Texas where Nathan opened a carpentry shop. For 3 months, they were happy. And then, a drunk driver didn't see a red light at an intersection. Jennifer was on her way to Emma's nursery. She died instantly. The doctors said she hadn't suffered. Nathan thought that should have comforted him, but instead he felt nothing but emptiness. He buried his wife in a cemetery overlooking the hills she loved so much, and swore at her grave that he would never pick up a gun again, that he would dedicate his life to the only thing he had left, his daughter, Emma. 5 years passed. Nathan had become a model single father. He would wake up at 6 in the morning, make breakfast, knit Emma, and take her to school. Then he would work in the workshop, creating tables, chairs, and shelves. His hands, which had once dismantled vending machines in the dark, were now carving horses and intricate wooden models. He would pick up his daughter from school, help her with her homework, cook her dinner, and read her bedtime stories. An ordinary life for an ordinary man. That was exactly what he wanted. Emma Wilson, 8 years old, shoulder-length blonde hair, green eyes, a perfect reflection of her mother. She was thin, her knees always bruised from her love of running and jumping. She wore brightly colored dresses with flowers she picked out herself, and pink sneakers with sparkly soles. She had a shrill laugh that made Nathan forget the past, and she had a habit of wrinkling her nose when she was focused on something important. Emma didn't remember anything about her mother. She was too young when she died. All she knew about Jennifer came from her father's stories and the photos that hung around the house. Nathan never hid from his daughter the fact that she had a mother, that he loved them both more than anything in the world. Emma grew up a cheerful child, despite her mother's absence. She had friends at school, favorite teachers, and hobbies. She loved to draw, and every wall in the house was decorated with her paintings. But more than anything, Emma loved Saturday mornings at the Sunny Rose Café. It was a tradition she and her father had. Every Saturday at 9 o'clock, they would come there, sit at a table by the window, and Nathan would order coffee, and Emma would order hot chocolate with marshmallows. They would sit there, talking about everything under the sun, and for those few hours, the whole world would shrink into their little corner of happiness. The Sunny Rose Café was owned by an elderly couple, Martha and George Collins, who had opened it 40 years ago. It was the heart of the town, a place where everyone knew them by name. The old building had cream-painted wooden beams, checkered linoleum floors, and worn but comfortable sofas. Photographs of Riverside through the ages hung on the walls, and in one corner sat a piano, occasionally played by a local music teacher. The waitresses had been working there for years. One of them, Kayla Mitchell, was particularly close to Nathan and Emma. Kayla was 23, studying to be a nurse, and worked part-time at the cafe to pay for her education. A thin, red-haired girl with freckles and a shy smile, she always added extra marshmallows to Emma's chocolate and brought her free cookies, saying, "They'll go to waste anyway." Nathan felt a kind of paternal tenderness for her. She reminded him of his younger sister, who now lived in California with her family. Last month, Kayla had asked him to make her a bookcase for her apartment, and Nathan had not only made it for free, but had also delivered and assembled it himself. She had tried to pay, but he had refused. He had just wanted to help a good man. Now let's talk about those who ruined my peaceful Saturday morning. Bradley Hollis, 28 years old, but he looked and acted like a spoiled teenager. Tall, athletic, with gelled blonde hair, blue eyes with a blank, arrogant expression. He was dressed in expensive clothes, a designer jacket, $300 sneakers, a gold chain around his neck. Everything about him screamed money and entitlement. His face was handsome, but tainted with an air of superiority. He was used to getting whatever he wanted, and had never heard the word no. Bradley was the nephew of the county sheriff, and he took full advantage of it. In the past 5 years, he had 3 assault charges, 2 DUI charges, and 1 for property damage. Each charge mysteriously disappeared. Witnesses changed their stories, evidence disappeared, and cases were dropped. Bradley knew he was untouchable. and he reveled in it. He worked, if you could call it a job, as a manager at his father's car dealership. He would come in after lunch, drink coffee, flirt with the secretaries, and occasionally show cars to customers. Others did most of the work, but Bradley earned the salary, and a substantial one at that. He spent the money on booze, casinos in a neighboring state, and girls who were willing to put up with his temper for gifts and restaurants. Bradley didn't have many friends. He had a few companions who hung around because he paid for his drinks and drugs. Two of them came with him to the coffee shop that morning. Tyler Green, 26, short and stocky, with a scruffy beard and a perpetually guilty expression. He had been friends with Bradley since high school, or rather, he had let Bradley fool him since high school. Tyler worked in a warehouse and lived in a trailer park on the outskirts of town. Bradley would sometimes invite him over for fun, and Tyler would always agree, afraid of being left all alone. Marcus Jones, 27, tall and thin, with the nervous, quick movements of someone who has taken too many stimulants. A former athlete whose career was ruined by injuries and pills, he now got by with odd jobs and selling his own drugs. He stayed close to Bradley, hoping that he would help him get back on track, even though they both knew that wouldn't happen. That night, the three of them stayed at a bar until 4 a.m. Bradley had lost $2,000 playing poker and was in a bad mood. In the morning, still drunk and angry, they decided to stop by the Sunny Rose for coffee. Saturday morning started as usual. Nathan woke up at 6 and made blueberry pancakes, Emma's favorite. He braided her hair, even though she was already learning to do them herself. He simply loved this ritual, those few minutes of intimacy when his daughter would sit still while his fingers braided strands of hair into a neat braid. It reminded him of the times when she was just a little girl, and he did everything clumsily, and Jennifer would laugh and correct him. They left home at 8:30. The morning was beautiful. The sun was shining through the golden leaves of the trees. The air smelled of autumn and apples from the neighboring orchard. Emma chatted nonstop about the school play, in which she was playing the role of a fairy, about her new friend Sophia, who had a corgi, and about how the teacher had praised her essay. Nathan listened, nodded, and occasionally asked questions. These conversations were music to his soul, proof that life goes on, that you can be happy even when half of your heart is buried in a cemetery. They entered the Sunny Rose at 9 o'clock sharp. The café was half full, the usual Saturday crowd. The elderly Harrison couple sat in a corner, sharing a newspaper and 2 coffees, as usual. A young mother, Susan, was trying to feed her 2-year-old son, who was more interested in drawing ketchup on the table than eating. A few lone customers were reading, checking their phones, enjoying the quiet. Nathan and Emma were sitting at their table. The seat was cracked vinyl, facing the main street, and the lighting was perfect. Kayla approached almost immediately, smiling. "Good morning, Wilsons. As usual?" "As usual," Nathan nodded. "Kayla, can we have pink and white marshmallows today?" Emma asked. "I want to make a marshmallow family. Mom, Dad, and daughter." Kayla stroked the girl's head. "Of course, my dear. I will make you the greatest marshmallow family in history." He went into the kitchen, and Emma began to take her pencils out of her backpack. Nathan leaned back in his chair, sipping water from the glass that was always brought to him promptly. He felt at peace. This was his place, his time, his little corner of heaven. 5 minutes later, the bell above the door rang. Nathan didn't even turn his head, but his body reacted automatically. An old habit, assessing threats. His subconscious registered the loud voices, the aggressive intonations, the smell of alcohol, but he forced himself to relax. It's none of my business. It's not my problem. I'm just a father here with my daughter. Bradley headed to the counter, followed by his friends. Kayla stood behind the register, her smile a little strained, but professional. Good morning. What would you like to order? Bradley leaned his elbow on the counter, watching the girl with undisguised interest. Good morning, beautiful. How about giving me your phone number over coffee? His voice was loud, meant to be heard by all. He wanted attention. He wanted to demonstrate his power. Kayla blushed, but remained calm. Excuse me, sir, but I work here. What would you like to order? Are you pretending to be hard to get? Bradley chuckled. I like them that way. Stubborn bitches are the best. A few customers looked up. Some frowned, but no one said anything. It's always like that. People don't want trouble. They don't want to be heroes. They look down and pretend nothing's happening. Nathan clenched his jaw. He saw Kayla turn pale, her hands shaking. He saw the fear in her eyes. Every instinct urged him to stand up, to intervene, to protect. But he forced himself to stay put. This is not your war. You have a daughter. You can't take any chances. Sir, please just order, Kayla whispered. Bradley reached out and touched her wrist. Let's do it this way, baby. Give me your number and I'll leave you $100 tip. Does that sound right? Kayla flinched, trying to free her hand. Don't touch me! But Bradley tightened his grip. Don't panic. I just want to get to know you better. Something clicked inside Nathan. He didn't see Kayla, he saw his little sister. He saw Jennifer. He saw a future where Emma could end up in this girl's place, with no one there to protect her. He stood up. His movements were smooth, almost lazy, but every muscle in his body was tense. Nathan crossed the café with lazy steps, and something about his walk quieted the conversation. Presence. That's what they called it in the military. The ability to fill a space so that everyone paid attention. I'm sorry, Nathan said softly. The girl asked you not to touch her. Bradley turned, irritation flashing across his face before turning into a contemptuous grin. What's your business, old man? This is between me and the beautiful one. It becomes my business when someone doesn't understand the word no. Nathan replied calmly. Let go of their hand. There was complete silence in the room. Even the baby's crying stopped. Everyone looked at them. Bradley slowly released his fingers, and Kayla immediately jumped back against the wall. Do you know who I am? Bradley narrowed his eyes. My uncle is Sheriff Hollis. One word, and you'll spend the night in jail. I know who you are, Nathan said calmly, and I don't care. Please go away. People are trying to have breakfast in peace here. Bradley's face contorted. Nobody tells me to leave. Especially some miserable carpenter. Nathan didn't raise his voice. I'm asking politely. Please leave. Go to hell, Bradley barked, and he hit. The blow was quick and unexpected. His palm struck Nathan in the cheek, twisting his head to the side. The sound echoed through the cafe like a gunshot. Someone screamed. Emma jumped from her chair. Dad! Nathan slowly turned his head. He could feel the blood running down his cracked lip, a salty metallic taste in his mouth. His cheek was burning, but most of all, his soul ached because his daughter had seen this. His daughter had seen him humiliated, and he had done nothing. Bradley burst out laughing. Are you afraid to fight in front of your princess? He nodded at Emma. You're right to be afraid. Do you know how many people I've crippled? Nathan grabbed a tissue from the counter and wiped away the blood. His hands were perfectly still. His face was a mask. "My daughter is watching," he said quietly, but loud enough for everyone in the cafe to hear. "You need to understand this. My daughter is watching, and I want her to learn the right lesson." "What lesson? That her father is a scoundrel?" Bradley said contemptuously. "A lesson that violence is not the answer," Nathan replied. "A lesson that true strength lies in remaining calm. A lesson that every person has a choice." He took a step back. "You made your choice. You hit an unarmed man who had no intention of fighting. Now you have only one option: to leave in peace." Bradley felt anger invade his mind. This strange old man was talking to him as if he were a child, as if he was nothing. "I'm not going anywhere," he growled. "And I'm not done with you yet." He grabbed Nathan by the shoulder, turning him back. "Don't you dare turn away from me." And then something changed. It was imperceptible to those who didn't know what to look for. But Mr. Harrison, who had served in the infantry in Vietnam, noticed it. He saw how the relaxation in Nathan's body gave way to absolute control. How his eyes, tired and gentle a moment ago, became empty and cold. Nathan moved, not fast, not spectacular, just efficient. His hand wrapped around Bradley's wrist and twisted, a simple movement, based on leverage and his knowledge of anatomy. Bradley gasped and fell to his knees. The pain was so sudden and sharp that his legs gave out. Nathan's other hand rested on Bradley's neck. He didn't squeeze. He simply stayed there, his fingers directly on the carotid artery, promising that one stroke would be enough. It all took less than 2 seconds. Bradley tried to flinch, but a wave of pain shot through his arm, and he froze. He looked at Nathan's face, and for the first time in his life, he was truly afraid, because the man holding him wasn't looking at him with the eyes of an enraged fighter. He was looking at him with the eyes of a professional who had done this hundreds of times, who could kill without breaking a sweat. "My name is Nathan Wilson," the man said quietly. 15 years ago, they called me the Ghost. I worked for the U.S. government in places you've never even heard of. I did things you can't imagine. I left that life because I wanted to be a father, not a weapon. The fingers pressed a little harder on his throat, and Bradley felt his breathing become labored. But the gun hasn't gone anywhere. It's still here, always here. And right now, only the love for my daughter keeps me from showing you how fragile the human body is. "I'm sorry," Bradley croaked. "I didn't know." You're not sorry for hitting someone who wasn't fighting," Nathan interrupted. "You're not sorry for scaring my daughter. You're just sorry that now you're scared too. And that fear is the only thing you understand." Emma began to cry softly behind him. Nathan closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, the cold had dissipated. He let Bradley go. "Get up. Apologize to Kayla. Go away and never come back here again. If I see you humiliate anyone again, I will forget my oath. Do you understand?" Bradley nodded, rubbing his arm. His friends were already standing by the door, pale and frightened. Bradley stood up, uncertain. "I'm sorry," he said to Kayla, without looking at her. And he ran out of the cafe. The door slammed behind him. Nathan turned to face the room. Everyone was looking at him, some with fear, some with admiration, some with disbelief. He ignored them. He only saw Emma. The girl was sitting by the table, tears streaming down her cheeks, wrapped in his arms. She looked at him, and there was a question in her eyes. "Who are you?" Nathan approached and knelt in front of her. "Emma, my dear, it's okay. It's all over." "Dad, you're bleeding," she whispered. "It's just a scratch. Nothing serious." Him. I protected Kayla, and I protected you too. Sometimes you have to do terrible things to protect the ones you love." Emma was silent. Then she threw herself at his neck. "I was scared. I thought he was going to kill you." Nathan hugged her tightly. "No one will kill me, I promise. I will always be with you." They sat like that for a few minutes. Gradually, the cafe came to life. Conversations resumed. Quiet, cautious. Mr. Harrison nodded respectfully to Nathan. Kayla brought them their order with shaking hands. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson." "With pleasure. I was just doing what had to be done." They sat down at the table. Emma looked at her hot chocolate but didn't drink it. The marshmallows floated, forgotten. "Dad, who are you really?" The question he feared. The question he couldn't avoid. "I'm your father. That's important." "But you were a soldier, right?" He said, "Yes, a long time ago, before you were born. I did difficult things to protect people, but I left the military because I wanted to be with you and my mother. Do you know how to fight?" "I can, but I don't want to. Fighting is always bad, Emma. It should be a last resort, when there's nothing else left." "Why didn't you stop him right away? He hit you and you just stood there." Nathan took her hand. "Because I wanted you to learn a lesson. Strength doesn't mean hitting. Strength means holding back. I could have stopped him from the beginning, but then you would have seen violence. And I want you to know that there is always a choice. I chose to hold back until he crossed the line." Emma nodded, but he could tell she didn't fully understand. As expected, she was too young for such complex truths. They finished breakfast in silence and went home. The day had been strange. Nathan tried to act normal, working in the workshop, cooking dinner, playing board games with Emma. But he kept feeling the past scratching at the door, reminding him of its presence. The ghost wasn't dead. It was just sleeping, and today it woke up. That night, after Emma had gone to bed, Nathan sat on the porch for a long time, looking at the stars. He thought about Jennifer. Would she be proud of him? Or was she disappointed that he couldn't solve the problem without violence? The phone rang. An unknown number. "Wilson." "Hello, Ghost," came a familiar voice he hadn't heard in 5 years. "I heard you were doing a show at the cafe." Nathan straightened up. "Colonel Brooks, how did you know?" "I have eyes everywhere. Don't worry, I'm not here on business. I just wanted to make sure you're okay." Harrison Brooks was his commander, his mentor, almost a father figure during those years. He was the one who signed Nathan's release after his wife died. He was the one who called him every few months to see how he was doing. "I'm fine. Just a little inconvenience." The sheriff's nephew is no small matter, especially if the sheriff is corrupt, and Hollis is exactly that. "I'm fine. I know. But if you need help, call. I can come, or I can send people." "Thank you, sir, but I want to handle this myself. Emma needs to see that problems can be solved without what you were. I understand. He's a happy kid, Nathan. You're doing everything right." After the conversation, Nathan felt a little better, but the anxiety didn't go away. He knew people like Bradley. He knew the humiliation wouldn't be forgotten. And it turned out that he was right. An hour after they left the coffee shop, Bradley hurried to his uncle's. Sheriff Walter Hollis was 58, burly, with the red face of someone who had eaten and drunk too much. He had run the county for 20 years, gradually turning the law enforcement system into his personal kingdom. Those who paid got protection. Those who didn't pay got problems. Bradley was his favorite, the only son of his sister, whom Walter adored. The boy was spoiled from childhood, and Walter turned a blind eye to all his antics. But now Bradley came with bruises on his wrist and fear in his eyes. "Uncle, that psychopath attacked me. For no reason. He was going to break my arm." Walter frowned. "Who?" "Some carpenter, Nathan Wilson. I was just talking to the waitress, and he came up to me and started threatening me. And then he grabbed me." Walter knew Nathan. He was a quiet, reserved man, and there was never any trouble with him. But that didn't matter. No one bothered his nephew. "Okay, I'll handle it." An hour later, a patrol car pulled up in front of Nathan's house. 2 officers, Jim Patterson and his young partner Reeves, got out and knocked on the door. Nathan opened the door. He had already put Emma to bed and was hoping for a quiet evening. "Officer Patterson, did something happen?" "Mr. Wilson, we need to talk. There is a complaint of assault." "I understand. Can I call my neighbor first so she can take care of my daughter?" "Certainly." Nathan called Mrs. Jenkins, an elderly woman who lived across the street from Emma. She often looked after Emma when she was in need. "Emma is sleeping," he said when the neighbor arrived. "If she wakes up, tell her I'll be back soon. Don't scare her." They went to the police station. There, Nathan testified calmly, without unnecessary emotion. He described how Bradley had sexually assaulted Kayla, how he had hit him, how he had used minimal force to defend himself. Everything was logical. Everything was within the bounds of the law. But then Walter came. "Mr. Wilson," his voice said icy, "my nephew says you attacked him without provocation. That is a serious charge. There are witnesses who will confirm that he attacked first. Witnesses can make mistakes, especially if they are scared or confused." Nathan realized where this was leading. "Do you want me to confess to something I didn't do? I want you to understand the situation. My family is respected in this town. It's your word against my nephew's word. Who do you think they'll believe? There are cameras in the café." Walter smiled coldly. "Sometimes cameras break. Recordings get lost." Nathan clenched his fists under the table. He understood what he was up against. Corruption, abuse of power. What he had once fought abroad now stared him in the face in his homeland. "What do you want?" "You sign a confession. You plead guilty to assault. You do 6 months. Everything is quiet, no fuss. Or they make your life hell. Searches, inspections, pressure on clients. Social services will start asking if a single father with aggressive behavior is fit to raise a child." The last one was a threat that hit hard. Nathan paled. "You wouldn't dare." "I dare. I would do anything for my family." "So you choose, Mr. Wilson." Nathan was silent. Options raced through his mind. He could confess, but 6 months would mean Emma would be taken into foster care. He couldn't let that happen. She'd already lost her mother. Losing her father, even temporarily, would destroy her. Or he could fight. But fighting meant revealing his past, drawing attention to himself. And there were things in his past that were better left in the shadows. "I want to call myself," he finally said. "It's my right." Walter shrugged. "Call whoever you want. It won't change the situation." They gave him a phone. Nathan dialed a number from memory, a number that hadn't changed in 15 years. A number that connected him to a man with enough power to change a lot. The phone was answered after 3 rings. "Ghost." The voice was surprised, but warm. "I just called you. Did something happen?" "Sir, I need help," Nathan said simply. Colonel Harrison Brooks arrived 2 hours later. His black SUV pulled up in front of the train station at exactly midnight. A man in his 60s emerged from the car, gray-haired but strong, wearing a military uniform. He was dressed in civilian clothes, but everything about him conveyed authority and connections. There were 2 people with him, guards or assistants, Nathan wasn't sure. Both were silent. Both had a professional look. Walter met them in the station lobby. His confidence changed at the sight of them. "Can I help you? This is private property." Brooks handed him a business card, a plain white card with a name and phone number, nothing more. But Walter looked at it and turned pale. "Who are you?" "A man who will not be disturbed," Brooks said calmly. "Where is Nathan Wilson?" "He was detained on suspicion of..." "Release him immediately. No charges." Walter tried to pull himself together. "I don't understand. You don't have the authority." Brooks approached. "I have the authority to call the governor, who owes me a personal debt. I have the authority to order an audit of your police department, which will find enough violations to lock you up for years. I have the authority to make your life miserable. So listen carefully, Sheriff Hollis." They entered the office. Brooks placed the USB stick on the table. "Here's the coffee shop surveillance footage, unedited. It shows your nephew attacking a civilian. There are also documents about your nephew's 3 previous convictions, which have mysteriously disappeared, and financial documents that show where you get the money to buy a $500,000 house on a sheriff's salary." Walter looked at the USB stick like it was a bomb. "Where did you get this?" "I have resources, and if anything happens to Nathan Wilson or his daughter, it will all go to the press, the FBI, and the Attorney General's office. Do you understand? This is blackmail." "That's right, something you don't seem familiar with." There was a knock on the door. One of Brooks's men entered. "Sir, FBI agents will be here in 20 minutes. Someone reported a disturbance at the station." Brooks smiled. Imagine. What a coincidence. Walter collapsed into a chair. "What do you want?" "Let Wilson go. Leave him alone. Tell your grandson to stay away, and start thinking about early retirement." 20 minutes later, Nathan was free. He came out of the station and saw Brooks waiting by the car. "Thank you, Colonel." "With pleasure. You called, I came. I'm trying to live a different life." "I know, and you can do it. But sometimes the past catches up with you. It's not your fault." Nathan nodded. "Is the FBI really coming?" "Yeah. My friends tracked them down. Hollis is in trouble. Mari. But that's none of your business. Emma saw me. She saw who I was." Brooks put his hand on his shoulder. "He saw you defending the weak. That's not the ghost. That's Dad. There's a difference." Nathan thought about it. Jennifer would be proud of you," Brooks said firmly. "You made the right choice. You tried to resolve things peacefully at first. You only used force when you had no choice. And you didn't kill, even if you could have. That's what true strength is." They said goodbye. Nathan went home. Mrs. Jenkins was dozing on the couch. Emma was sleeping in her room. He thanked his neighbor, led her outside, and stopped by to see his daughter. Emma slept, hugging the teddy bear she had inherited from her mother. Her drawings hung on the wall. Family, home, and happiness, all depicted by a child's hand. Nathan sat on the edge of the bed. "I'm sorry I scared you, my dear," he whispered. "I just wanted to protect you. I always will." The next week was strange. Rumors circulated around town. Some said Nathan was a hero. Others were afraid of him. Customers reacted differently. Some canceled orders. Others, on the contrary, came with new ones. Emma asked questions. Lots of questions. About who he was, what he was doing, why he had left. Nathan answered as honestly as he could. He didn't go into detail, but he didn't lie either. "I did hard things so that bad people couldn't hurt good people. But it changed me. It made me strong. Your mother helped me become human again, and you helped me stay human. Do you miss that life?" "No, not for a second. I miss your mother, but not that life." That weekend they went to Sunny Rose again. Nathan hesitated, but Emma insisted. "This is our place, Dad. We shouldn't be afraid of him." The cafe fell silent as they entered. Everyone turned away. Nathan felt the tension, the need to leave. But then Mr. Harrison stood up and started clapping. Slowly, rhythmically. His wife joined in. Then Kayla. Then others. Applause filled the cafe. Nathan stopped, stunned. Emma squeezed his hand. Kayla came over and hugged him. "Thank you. Thank you for not coming this way, for protecting me." Nathan nodded, speechless. They sat down at their usual table. Kayla brought hot chocolate with a mountain of marshmallows. "Today is a special day, the biggest marshmallow family in history," she smiled. Emma began to build an entire city out of marshmallows. Nathan looked at her and felt something heavy lift from his chest. Maybe everything would be okay. Maybe the past could really be left behind. A few days later, Walter Hollis resigned. The official reason was health problems, but everyone knew the truth. The FBI had found enough evidence of corruption to open a criminal investigation. Walter avoided prison by agreeing to cooperate and go quietly. Bradley left town. Rumor had it that his father had sent him to a rehab center in another state. Nathan wasn't interested in the details. The main thing was that the threat was gone. Life returned to normal. Nathan worked. Emma studied. They spent their evenings and weekends together. But something had changed between them. A new intimacy was emerging, born of honesty. Emma now knew that her father was more than a kind carpenter. He was a man with a past, with scars, with dark corners of his soul. But he was her father nonetheless, maybe even more than before. One evening, a month after the incident, they were sitting on the porch. Winter was approaching. The air was cold and crisp. Emma was nestled next to her father, wrapped in a blanket. "Dad, will you teach me how to defend myself?" Nathan looked at her. "Why do you need this?" "Well, you never know. What if I meet someone bad? I want to be able to defend myself." Nathan thought about it. On the one hand, he wanted to protect her from any cruelty. On the other hand, the world was dangerous, and if she knew how to defend herself, she could save her life. "Okay, but on one condition. I will teach you not to fight, but to defend yourself. There is a huge difference. Fighting means seeking conflict. Defending means avoiding it. but you are ready to respond if there is no other way out. Understand. And most importantly, always try to escape first. Run, call for help, avoid a confrontation. Only if that's impossible, defend yourself. What happens if someone bullies the weak, like that girl at the café? Nathan smiled. Then you call the adults, the police, the teachers, me. Don't try to be the hero yourself. Got it? It's clear. The next day they began training. Nothing serious. Basic positions, balance, where to strike if there was no escape. Nathan wasn't teaching her killing techniques, but ways to buy time and escape. A blow to the groin, to the eye, to the throat. Places where even a child could inflict enough pain to force an escape. Emma studied diligently. She understood the seriousness. Sometimes, when Nathan showed her a move, she would see his face change, how he became someone else for a second. Focused, dangerous. And then she would turn to her father, patiently correcting his foot placement and praising his progress. "You're doing well," he said after another training session. "But remember, the best fight is the one that never happened." "How are things at your café?" "No, I messed up at the café. I should have picked you up right away. I called the police, but I got overwhelmed by emotion." "But you protected Kayla." "Yes, and that's why I don't regret it. But I could have done better, wiser." Emma hugged him. "I think you are the wisest father in the world." Nathan laughed, for the first time in a long time, honestly and easily. "I love you, sunshine." "I love you too." Winter came gently to Riverside. Snow fell in December, turning the town into a Christmas card. Nathan filled orders for the holidays. Everyone wanted handmade wooden toys, shelves, and tables. There was a lot of work, and money, too. He even hired an assistant, a young man named Kevin, who needed a helping hand. Kevin was a good kid, 18, fresh out of school, not knowing what to do with his life. Nathan took him in because he saw himself in him at that age. Lost, searching for a purpose. Maybe carpentry would be his calling. "Working with your hands is meditation," Nathan said, demonstrating how to hold a plane correctly. "You see the results immediately. You create something real, something useful. It heals the soul." Kevin nodded, absorbing every word. He had heard rumors about Nathan, about what had happened at the café. But working next to him, he had seen only a calm man who taught patiently and never raised his voice. That was more important than any rumors. The three of them celebrated Christmas together. Nathan, Emma, and Mrs. Jenkins, who had become almost like family to them. The old woman had been widowed 10 years before and lived alone. For her, Nathan and Emma were a joy, a way to feel needed. And for them, she was warmth, care, almost the grandmother that Emma had never had. They decorated the tree, cooked the turkey, and exchanged gifts. Emma received the bicycle she had dreamed of and a drawing set. Nathan received a scarf that Emma had knitted herself, crooked, with missing stitches, but incredibly precious. Mrs. Jenkins received a rocking chair, which Nathan had made in secret for 2 months. "It's too expensive," she tried to protest with tears in her eyes. "You do more for us than you think," Nathan replied. "Please accept." That evening, when Mrs. Jenkins had left, and Emma was sleeping under the tree, exhausted with emotion, Nathan took an old box out of the closet. It contained Jennifer's photos, her jewelry, and her letters. He opened the box once a year, at Christmas, which she loved so much. Nathan flipped through the photos. There was Jennifer, laughing, holding newborn Emma. There they were, at a picnic, happy and young. There she was, kissing him, pressing her whole body against his. So much life, so much love, and it was all gone in an instant. "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you," he whispered to the photo. "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you from that driver. But I saved our daughter. She's growing up good, smart, kind, just like you wanted her to be. I hope you see this. I hope you're proud of us." Tears streamed down her cheeks. She cried quietly so as not to wake Emma. She cried because of the pain that had never completely gone, because of the love that had never gone, out of gratitude for the years they had had. Then she wiped her tears, put the box back, and went into the kitchen. She made some tea and sat by the window. Outside it was snowing, soft and beautiful. The city was sleeping, enveloped in silence and peace. Nathan thought about the past year, how his quiet life had almost fallen apart, how he had been forced to remember skills he had sworn to forget, how Emma had seen his real son and not looked back. Maybe that was the point, to fully accept himself, both the light and the dark. Not to hide the past, but not to let it control the present. He was the ghost, but he was also a father, a carpenter, just a man trying to live his life properly. And that was enough. New Year's Eve was celebrated in full force. The town held a celebration in the central square. Fireworks, music, hot cider. Emma ran with her friends, laughing, catching snowflakes. Nathan stood aside, watching and feeling a sense of peace. Kayla approached him with 2 glasses of cider in her hand. "One for you, Mr. Wilson." "Thank you. And just Nathan, please." They sat silently watching the fun. "You know," Kayla said quietly, "after that incident, I thought about quitting. I was afraid it would happen again. But then I realized there are people who will protect you. There are good people. You reminded me of that." Nathan looked at her. "I simply did what I had to do." "Anyone in my place?" "No," Kayla shook her head. "Not just anyone. The cafe was full of people. But you were the only one who stood up. That's saying something." She smiled. "I want you to know that I signed up for self-defense classes. I won't be helpless anymore. If something happens, I'll be able to defend myself." "Smart girl," Nathan nodded approvingly. "That's the right decision." At midnight, fireworks exploded. The sky exploded in colors, red, blue, gold. Emma rushed to her father and grabbed his hand. "Dad, look! How beautiful!" Nathan lifted her up by the shoulders so he could see better. She laughed, pointing at each new blow. And in that moment, Nathan felt absolute happiness. The simple, human happiness of a father, holding his daughter in his arms and looking at the beauty of the world. The past no longer haunted him. The ghost slept deeply, locked with many padlocks. Perhaps one day he would have to wake it again. Perhaps life had prepared trials for him that would require those skills, that cruelty. But now, in this moment, there was only peace. January brought cold weather. Nathan worked in the warm workshop creating furniture. His hands moved confidently, familiarly. The same hands that held weapons now held a chisel. The same hands that killed now created. He often thought about this paradox, how the same tools could serve both death and life. It all depended on each person's choice. Kevin proved to be a quick learner. Within 3 months, he could make simple things himself: stools, picture frames, boxes. Nathan paid him fairly and taught him not only the craft, but also the work ethic. "Everything you create carries a part of you," he said. "If you do it right, people feel it. If you do it wrong, they feel it too. Work hard enough that you're proud of the result." Kevin listened, absorbed. Nathan could see the boy changing, becoming more confident, calmer, finding purpose. That delighted him. It meant he could be useful not just as a weapon, but as a mentor. He could bring good things, not just death. One evening, a stranger entered the workshop. A man in his 40s, dressed in an expensive suit, with the confident gait of a man accustomed to getting what he wants. "Are you Nathan Wilson?" "Yes. How can I help you?" "My name is Richard Stone. I represent a corporation that deals in luxury furniture. I have heard of your craftsmanship. I would like to make you an offer." Nathan wiped his hands with a cloth. "I'm listening." "We are ready to order furniture from you on a regular basis. High volumes, high salaries. You could expand your business, hire more people. It would change your life." It sounded tempting. Money is never a bad thing, especially when you're raising a daughter alone. Paying for college, paying for her future, that takes money. "What are the conditions?" "An exclusive contract. You work exclusively for us. You move to another state where our factory is located. We will provide you with accommodation, full equipment, and a team of assistants." Nathan frowned. "Should we move?" "No, that's impossible. My daughter studies here. She has friends, a normal life." Stone shrugged. "Then we won't be able to work together. Our proposal requires full engagement." "I understand. I'm sorry, but my answer is no." Stone handed him a business card. "If you change your mind, the offer is valid for 1 month." She left, and Nathan stared at the card. Part of him wanted to agree. Money, opportunities, a career. But another part, a bigger, stronger one, knew that Emma needed stability more than wealth. She needed the house she had grown up in, the school where she had friends, the memory of her mother, who was everywhere in this town. He tore up the business card and threw it in the trash bag. The decision was made. They were going to stay here. That evening he told Emma about it. "Dad, did they offer to move us?" "Yes. Good money, good conditions." "And why don't we go?" Nathan sat down next to her. "Because home isn't a place with more money. Home is where your heart is. Your mother is buried here. Your friends are here. We built a life here. Do you really want to leave?" Emma thought about it. "No, I'm fine here. But I don't want you to give up anything important to me." Nathan hugged her. "You are the most important thing. Everything else is just details." February brought the thaw. The snow melted, turning into mud, then into the first streams. Nature was waking up, and with it, something in Nathan's soul was waking up. The hope that the worst was over, that he could live in peace, raise his daughter, work with his hands, and be happy. But life is not that simple. One evening there was a knock on the door. Nathan opened it and saw 2 men in black suits. They showed their IDs. "Agents Thompson and Wilkes, Homeland Security. Can we come in?" Nathan's heart sank. He knew this visit did not bode well. But he nodded, inviting them inside. "Emma, go to your room and do your homework," he told his daughter. Sensing the tension, Emma left silently. But Nathan knew she was listening behind the door. Smart girl. The agent sat down at the table. Thompson, the oldest, spoke first. "Mr. Wilson, we've come to discuss a delicate matter. You were once in Delta Force, correct?" "True, but that was a long time ago. I'm retired." "We know, but a situation has arisen that requires your specific skills." "No," Nathan said harshly. "I'm done with this life." Wilkes pulled out a tablet and showed him the photo. "This man is planning a terrorist attack. He's a former agent. He knows all our procedures. He's so well hidden that we can't find him. But you might hire someone else." "I tried. 3 agents are already dead. This man is dangerous, smart, and ruthless. We need someone on his level. Someone like you." Nathan shook his head. "I have a daughter. I can't leave her." Thompson leaned forward. "If he carries out his plan, hundreds of people will die. Maybe thousands, including children. Can you live knowing that you could have prevented this?" The blow was precise. Nathan clenched his fists. "That's manipulation." "This is true." The silence was heavy and oppressive. "How long?" 2 weeks, 3 max. A quick invasive surgery. We'll keep your daughter safe while you're gone." "No," a voice came from the door. Everyone turned. Emma stood there, pale, her eyes burning. "Dad, you promised to never meet again." Nathan stood up and walked towards her. "Emma, it's hard." "You promised," she almost screamed. "You said that life was over, that you would stay with me." Tears streamed down her cheeks. Nathan knelt before her. "Honey, listen." "No," she pushed him away. "If you leave, you won't come back, like Mom. You'll die, and I'll be left alone." Her voice turned to a sob. Nathan pulled her close, feeling her small body tremble. His heart was breaking too. He looked at the agents. "Get out of here." "Mr. Wilson." "Go away. My answer is no. Find another way." Thompson and Wilkes exchanged glances and stood up. "If you change your mind." Thompson placed the business card on the table. "We have a week before the track cools down." They left. Nathan held Emma in his arms as she cried. He stroked her hair, whispered soothing words, and felt his own tears. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm sorry I scared you. I'm not going anywhere. I promise." Then, when she calmed down, he put her to bed. He sat next to her until she closed her eyes. Only then did he allow himself to think. The agents were telling the truth. If the attack goes ahead, people will die. Maybe children, like Emma. Maybe fathers, whose loss will devastate other families, as his had been. But what could he do? Leaving meant risking leaving Emma an orphan. It meant breaking his oath to Jennifer and to himself. It meant returning to what he had been running from for 5 years. Nathan took out his phone and called Brooks. "Colonel, I need advice." He told her about the agent's visit. Brooks listened in silence. "What do you want to hear from me?" "What is correct? I refuse or I agree." Brooks sighed. "Nathan, I can't make a decision for you, but I will say one thing. You've already earned your right to a peaceful life. You've given your country 15 years. You've risked your life more times than you can count. No one has the right to ask more of you, especially when you have a daughter. But people will die. Maybe. Or maybe there's another way. It's not all up to you, Ghost. The world won't collapse without you. I feel selfish. You're not selfish. You're a father. That's more important. Jennifer would agree with me. The conversation helped. A little. Nathan hung up and looked at the agent's business card. He stared at it for a long time. Then he tore it up and threw it away. The decision has been made. Let someone else save the world. His war is over. The next few days were tense. Nathan waited for the agents to return, to press him, to threaten him. But they didn't show up. Maybe they had found another solution. Maybe they had resigned themselves to the refusal. Emma was quiet and thoughtful. Nathan understood that she was worried, afraid that he would change his mind. He tried to show her that everything was okay, that he was here and not going anywhere. A week passed, then another. Nathan began to relax. The crisis was over. And then, that night, as he slept, the phone rang. Brooks. The voice was somber. Nathan, turn on the news. Nathan went down the stairs and turned on the TV. The screen showed chaos, a destroyed building, smoke, people running and screaming. A sign below read, "Terrorist attack in Chicago. 43 people killed, including 12 children." Nathan felt the ground slipping from under his feet. He collapsed onto the couch, unable to take his eyes off the screen. Is this the one the agents were talking about? Yes. I could have stopped this. Maybe. Or maybe you would have died and Emma would have been an orphan. You can't know, Nathan. Don't blame yourself. But Nathan blamed himself. The faces on the screen, terrified, crying, lost. The father holding his dead daughter in his arms, screaming in pain. Nathan could see himself in his place. He could see Emma in that man's arms. He could have prevented this, but he didn't. Guilt tightened my chest, making it difficult for me to breathe. In the morning, he took Emma to school and went to the workshop. He worked mechanically, his hands moving on their own. His head was full of images on the screen. Kevin noticed. "Boss, are you okay?" "Yes, I just didn't sleep well." But it was a lie. It wasn't right. He felt like something was breaking inside. That night after Emma had gone to bed, she watched the news again. The names of the dead, their stories. A teacher on her way to work. A nurse rushing to the hospital. Children on a field trip. Ordinary people whose lives had been cut short because someone decided their deaths would serve a purpose. Nathan cried. He cried with guilt, with helplessness, with the realization that he had made a choice that cost lives. He had chosen his daughter over other people's children. It was both good and bad. The phone rang again. Agent Thompson. "Mr. Wilson, I hope you saw the news." "I saw it," Nathan replied grimly. "I want you to know, we don't blame you. You had your reasons for refusing, but the man who did it is still at large. He plans to do it again. We still need your help." I said no. Think about it. How many have to die before you agree? Nathan hung up, his hands shaking with anger and desperation. He knew Thompson was right. He knew that refusal meant more deaths. But how could he leave Emma? How could he risk being alone? The dilemma was unbearable. He stood in the darkness, his head in his hands, trying to find an answer. But there was no answer. Only pain, guilt, and love for his daughter, which outweighed everything else. The bedroom door opened. Emma was standing there in her pajamas, her face sleepy. "Dad, why are you crying?" Nathan wiped away his tears. "Sorry, honey. Did I wake you?" Emma came and climbed onto his lap. "Are you sad about those people? I saw the news at school. The teachers were talking about it. Nathan hugged her. Yes. Could you help them? The question he feared the most. Maybe. Emma was silent, thinking. Then she said softly, "If you had helped me, maybe you wouldn't have come back. Like my mother." Yes. But if you don't help, someone else will die. Like those children. Yes. Tears were streaming down her cheeks. I don't want to lose you. But I don't want other children to die. What should I do, Dad? How should I choose? Nathan hugged her, crying too. I don't know, my dear. I don't know. They stood embraced, two people torn between love and duty, between selfishness and sacrifice, between light and darkness. And Nathan realized that the decision should not come from the mind, but from the heart. He remembered Jennifer. He remembered how she looked at him as he prepared for his last mission. Go, she said then. Do what you have to do. We will wait. We will always wait. She let him go, knowing she might never see him again. She let him go because she loved not only him, but also those he protected, because she understood that some things are more important than personal happiness. Nathan looked at Emma. Honey, can I ask you a very serious question? Emma nodded. If I could save those children, but that would mean leaving for a while and maybe never coming back. Would you let me go? Emma closed her eyes, tears streaming down her face, but she nodded. Yes, because that's how it is. Mom would say that. Nathan felt his heart break, and at the same time swell with pride. His 8-year-old daughter was wiser than he was, stronger than he was. You are the bravest girl in the world, he whispered. Dad, you'll come back, won't you? Promise me you'll come back. I will do everything in my power. It's not enough, I promise. Nathan looked into her eyes. I promise. In memory of my mother, in my love for you, I promise I will do my best to come back. Emma hugged him. Then go. Save them. The next morning, Nathan called Thompson. I agree, with the conditions. I'm listening. My daughter is staying with people I trust. She is under protection 24/7. If anything happens to me, the government will pay for her education all the way to university, and it will ensure her financial security until adulthood. Okay, one more thing. This is the last time. After this, delete all my records. Officially, the ghost is dead. No one will ever come to me with requests again. Okay. Nathan gathered Emma and explained the situation to her. He called Brooks and asked him to take charge of security and surveillance. The colonel agreed without hesitation. I'll fly there myself, he said. I'll stay with her until you get back. Thank you. Nathan packed up his old equipment that he had stored in the basement, buried under his tools. Black clothes, a knife, and a few devices that might be useful. He refused to take the gun. It was too noisy. The ghost worked quietly. In the evening, he sat with Emma on the porch for the last time before leaving. Tell me about your mother, she asked. Nathan smiled despite his sadness. She was the kindest person I knew. She laughed at my bad jokes. She sang while she cooked, always out of tune, but with such pleasure. She loved you more than anything in the world. The last thing she said to me that morning was, I love you both to the moon and back. Emma cried in a whisper. I miss her, Me too. Every day. They held hands until it got dark. Then Nathan put her to bed and kissed her on the forehead.
I'll be back. Wait for me.
Come back, Dad. Please come back. The agents arrived in the morning. Brooks arrived with 2 security guards. Nathan handed over his daughter. Take care of her. Like mine, Brooks promised. Nathan got into the agent's car and drove away without looking back. If he had, he would have changed his mind. But the decision had been made. 2 weeks. An operation in another country, the details of which Nathan learned along the way. The terrorist was hiding in the mountains, in a place inaccessible to regular agents. Someone was needed who could move undetected, operate alone, and penetrate where the defenses seemed impenetrable. A phantom was needed, and the ghost is back.